And we embrace that. We know what comes along with that is when we don't achieve victory, the scrutiny is probably a little higher. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And when we come up short, we're going to be accountable. We're not going to flip out, go crazy. We're going to get back to the basics, find a way to get on the right track, and hopefully this week will be a bounce back.
Okay, so I'm just going to say it. Like, we joke around a lot about some of the things he says. That was one of the most sensible, and I loved every word of that. If I'm a fan of the team and candidly a teammate on that team, that's exactly what I want to hear him say in that situation. There is, however, one overriding question that remains. Just how good is this team? It's one thing for the expectations to be that they are what they've been for the last decade or so, but are they anymore?
It doesn't feel like those expectations should be that high. Offensively, they're struggling for identity. I don't know, or I feel like I do know what they do well. Don't get too excited, Jeff, but they run the ball. But that's not what they've been doing this season, and they've had some embarrassing losses, and they haven't had any impressive wins. So while I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to this team, this feels like a different team than it was last year. Last year, after they had a slow start, they ripped off a bunch of wins in a row and were impressive in those wins. When they had injuries in key situations, they found a way to succeed. Now it seems like the adversity that comes to their doorstep, they don't have an answer for it. Maybe they will by the end of the season, but I'm no longer going to assume that they will like I was 2 weeks ago.
No, Kmart, I sat there on Sunday. When that game ended, I tweeted, I am so looking forward to spending another week with everyone on Get Up telling me how good the Packers are when all visual evidence to the contrary makes it obvious that they're not. Their defense isn't as good as we thought. Their receivers are exactly as not so good as we thought. They have a great quarterback, and right now they don't have practically anything obviously else.
But here's the thing. When you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, the Super Bowl is the expectation. The short of that is a disappointment. That's just the reality. I understand the roster constraints. I understand what we're looking at on paper and what we see on film and on game day, but that's the reality. Right now, Rodgers is 29th out of all the QBs throwing outside the numbers. The only two QBs who are worse, Davis Mills and Baker Mayfield. That is how bad things are in Green Bay. But the whole offseason was set up to pay Aaron Rodgers. We're okay with Devontae Adams leaving. We're going to go with these young guys. Okay, we'll make it work. The run game was a strength. Why is it not a strength anymore? Why are we straying from what we're good at, especially when...
Here's an answer.
Here we go.
I got a great answer.
Here we go again.
You want to talk about common sense isn't common? Have a 17-point lead and then don't run the football. And then when the Giants tie you up at 20 all, go 3 and out and take 9 seconds off the clock because you throw it 3 times. That is dumb football. And a team that runs the ball 8 times and passes it 17 times in the second half is not a team that's playing in their strengths. I have a big issue with Matt LaFleur and what Aaron Rodgers are doing right now because, again, all these checks you see on the goal line, he hands that ball off, it's walking in. I get the blitz, it's going to be confusing, it's going to be all these things, but at some point you play to your strengths, and when you have 2 backs like that, you don't give A.J. Dillon 6 touches. It just doesn't fit. And again, we knew the receivers were going to be a work in progress. So I understand the numbers, they are what they are. I think those numbers get better as soon. But in the interim, you have to play to your strengths, and their defense has not been what they expected. But again, all those things play complementary football. When you can do one, you're usually better at stopping the other. And right now, they don't have an identity to what Fox said earlier.
Yeah, I'm right there with Jeff. I mean, you look at what Wake Martindale, the DC for the Giants, did. They were out there with 6 or 7 defensive backs on some plays.
And by the way, they were giving up 5 yards a carry.
You got to
run
You got to run teams out of that kind of stuff. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers was 0 for 6 on attempts beyond 20 yards from the line of scrimmage on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's because they were taking away the passing game, and you got to lean on your run game. And quite frankly, that's when the Packers have had success. That's when they get their explosive plays, when they set up opportunities through play action. It ain't Aaron Rodgers dropping back in shotgun and getting it done.
Listen, I really don't understand. I don't understand when you look at defenses. I remember when I played forever, I'm looking at this, I say, hey, they're 25th in the league in stopping the run. We're probably going to run it a little more than normal. They're really good stopping the pass and putting pressure.
The status of Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott ahead of Sunday night's game in Philadelphia. Dak just over a month removed from thumb surgery. Yesterday, Jerry Jones, an update on the quarterback.
He's got to spin the ball. He's got to really spin the ball. And just think about it. Put your hand down on something like would be the equivalent of a football. Try to do that without thumb strength. Can he zip the ball out there and make the throw? We'll start working on that Wednesday real hard. We know Dak Prescott can play, and we know he'll be ready to play the minute he gets a chance to go in the game. Can he spin the ball? We'll see.
Well, there you have it, Greeny.
Can he spin the ball?
Can he spin that ball? You got to spin that thing.
Kmart, can he spin that ball?
We're about to see if he can spin that ball, Greeny. No, today is really, we're joking, but today is a really huge day for the Cowboys because this is what they wanted. They got to see Dak on the field and doing some form of practicing, right? Obviously, spinning the ball is what Jerry keeps talking about. But the interesting thing is Mike McCarthy talked about how he wanted to see Dak practice for a full week. So that's why I would think him playing this Sunday is completely out of the question. But in Jerry's world, who knows?
Well, Jeff, you had a very definitive statement to me when I saw you the first thing this morning.
No chance he plays. No chance. It would make absolutely zero sense to go play Dak Prescott right now. This whole can he spin the ball? Let me tell you what doesn't happen in a game that you're going to go play the Eagles. You don't get touched the whole game. You just practice. You're going to get freaking hit. You're going to get smacked to the ground. Your hand's going to hit the ground. Somebody's going to step on your hand. There's a million different things that happen in football games that are potentially going to happen. Why would you risk Dak Prescott when Cooper Rush, to your credit, is the MVP of the league? So, why push it? Why rush it? Literally allow him to get fully healed and then come back and be the hero.
Here's why I'm right. Here's why Cooper Rush is the MVP of the league. Because if the Cowboys had lost 3 of the 4 games they're playing now, you would be rushing Dak Prescott back.
I was going to call Jeff out.
100%.
You up here lying, talking about we got to wait till he's healthy. If they had lost
GM Jeff. I'm GM Jeff right now.
If they had lost any of those games, or 2 of those games, 3 of those games, Dak Prescott, you tape it up, shoot it up, whatever you got to do, try to throw it with your left hand. So it does matter that Cooper Rush has played well enough, but frankly, the defense has played extraordinarily well over this period to buy them some time.
So the question, Chris Canty, is if Jeff is right and it is Cooper Rush again Sunday night in a monster game in Philadelphia, can the Cowboys win?
Yeah, they can win, Greeny. Anytime you play defense the way the Cowboys do, you got a shot. I mean, their defense is 3rd in EPA, they're 2nd in sacks at 4 a game, and they haven't allowed an opponent to score more than 19 points all season. So I think that's the most important thing when you start talking about the Cowboys prospects in Sunday Night Football. But I think the key for Dallas in this game is going to come down to Cooper Rush. Greeny, sometimes it ain't about the plays that you make, it's about the mistakes that you don't. And in 245 snaps, Cooper Rush didn't turn the football over. Now, the game against the Rams was the first time he really got knocked around all season. Did a decent job of protecting the football. So I think that's going to be the key because the Cowboys don't have the kind of margin for error where they can give the Eagles offense extra possessions.
I think that works when you're playing against lesser opponents. Yeah. When you're playing against a team when you're playing against a team like the Eagles, it works when you get block punts and fumbles returned for touchdowns. We're playing like a team against you're playing against a team like the Eagles. You're going to have to make a play or 2 at quarterback. You're going to have to do something special here or there. And I think that's why the Cowboys probably don't have as good a chance as we would like to think they do in this game because the Cowboys' best strength is that D-line. The Eagles got a pretty impressive offensive line. So if they're able to neutralize there, the Eagles have advantages in every other position, especially if Dak does not show up.
I will say this, the Eagles' offensive line is a little bit banged up, so we got to see what health those guys are coming into this game with. But to your point, the one place that this Cowboys defense can be had is in the run game, and that Eagles offensive line has shown themselves to be physical. All you got to do is go back and watch what happened against Arizona, that championship drive. 17 plays for 70 yards, and Jalen Hurts only made a couple of throws.
You hear that?
That's what it's all about.
His way going.
I can promise you this, the pass rushers for the Cowboys, they don't want to play the run 35, 40 times a game.
That's exactly right.
So this is going to be a game they play on Sunday night, but it's going to be a Saturday game, right? They're going to
know this.
The football.
You know this. Hey, listen. Intelligence matters. If Sirianni understands how do you attack a bunch of pass rushers, run right through them. All those guys want to avoid. They want to jump something. Go hit them in the mouth. It will slow those rushes down. And here's the other part about Jalen Hurts. He is 1st in the NFL with 0 pressure. He is 24th in the NFL when he gets pressure. So the last thing you want to do is allow the Cowboys front 4 to get pressure on Jalen. Take it out of the equation. Go run the football at him, RPO him, get him out, get him moving. Don't allow him to be a sitting duck in that pocket. Again, he'll have